What happens when two ordinary human children stumble into the vast unknown of space and unintentionally reshape the destiny of the galaxy? From accidental adventurers to revered legends, their journey will ignite peace, spark chaos, and forever alter humanity's place among the stars. Dive into this suspenseful tale of innocence, wonder, and unexpected greatness. It began on a quiet evening, one that seemed no different from countless others before it. Stars sparkled faintly in the sky above Earth, their distant light casting an almost hypnotic pull on the two young dreamers, Mia and Liam. They were the children of renowned scientists working at one of humanity's most advanced research facilities. The facility itself was a marvel, filled with cutting-edge technology, including an experimental spacecraft designed for interstellar exploration. It was this ship, nestled in the heart of the facility, that would unknowingly become the catalyst for a series of events no one could have foreseen. Mia, the elder of the two at 12, was endlessly curious, her mind always buzzing with questions about the universe. Liam, 8 years old, was quieter but deeply drawn to anything that hinted at adventure. Together, they made a formidable team of explorers within the confines of their parents' workplace. They had often sneaked into restricted areas, marveling at the strange machines and glowing panels. But that night, their curiosity would take them further than they ever imagined. The spacecraft stood out among the other equipment. Sleek and pristine, its silvery hull shimmered faintly under the facility's fluorescent lights. It seemed alive, almost inviting. A low hum emanated from it, barely audible but strangely captivating. The siblings were drawn to it like moths to a flame, slipping past a partially open security gate. The control panel near the ship pulsed with soft blue lights, beckoning their small fingers to explore. Mia reached out first, her hand trembling slightly with a mix of fear and excitement. Her touch activated a sequence of events she couldn't begin to understand. Lights within the ship flickered on, and the air filled with a gentle vibration. Liam, emboldened by his sister's actions, pressed a few glowing buttons, their symbols indecipherable. A mechanical voice spoke in a language neither child understood, but the tone felt calm, reassuring. Suddenly, the hatch of the spacecraft hissed open. The interior was a wonderland of soft lights, curved surfaces, and intricate designs. It looked like something out of their favorite sci-fi stories. Excitement overpowered caution, and the children stepped inside, their eyes wide with amazement. The ship's AI, detecting their presence, began running an automated sequence. Doors sealed, engines whirred to life, and the hum grew louder. Outside, the facility's alarms blared and scientists rushed to the launch pad, shouting frantically. But it was too late. The ship's sophisticated systems bypassed the lockdown protocols, interpreting the children's actions as a legitimate launch command. In moments, the craft ascended silently into the night sky, leaving a trail of shimmering light. Mia and Liam clutched each other, their wonder replaced with a growing sense of unease. Through a window, they watched Earth shrink into a blue marble. The vastness of space surrounded them, beautiful and terrifying. Unbeknownst to them, this unplanned journey was only the beginning of a story that would change the galaxy forever. The ship carrying Mia and Liam emerged from the dark folds of space into an alien system teeming with activity. Through the viewport, the children gazed in silent awe at the colossal fleet spread before them. Massive vessels, bristling with armaments and exuding an intimidating aura, orbited a planet whose surface shimmered with bioluminescent patterns visible even from space. The Tyrexians, an ancient and war-hardened race, had ruled this sector for millennia, and their fearsome reputation preceded them across the galaxy. Unbeknownst to the children, their arrival had not gone unnoticed. The ship's sudden appearance triggered an immediate response from the Tyrexian fleet. Automated defense systems scanned the vessel, detecting no overt weapons but finding its construction unfamiliar and its origin unregistered. Tyrexian command deemed it an intruder, possibly a covert weapon or scout sent by a rival power. As tensions rose, ships shifted into formation, their massive energy cannons charging, ready to obliterate the perceived threat. Inside the children's ship, the AI processed the situation with calculated precision. It identified the Tyrexian fleet's movements as hostile and initiated an emergency protocol. The ship transmitted a holographic projection, its sophisticated systems choosing the simplest way to convey its nonviolent intent. As the Tyrexians prepared to fire, a glowing image of Mia and Liam, appeared above the ship in a towering, radiant display visible to the entire fleet. The sight of two human children stopped the Tyrexians in their tracks. The warlord overseeing the fleet, a being of immense size and clad in jagged armor, froze as he beheld the projection. Tyrexian culture held children in a deeply spiritual regard. Their own young were revered as pure beings untouched by the complexities of war and conflict. For generations, legends had spoken of beings from the stars who would arrive in the form of children, heralding a new era, unity, and strength. What they saw before them was a near-perfect embodiment of this prophecy. The children's expressions, a mixture of curiosity and fear, were interpreted as divine serenity. Their presence felt deliberate, their arrival an act of cosmic will. The warlord, struck by the profound implications, ordered his fleet to stand down. The transmission of the children's image was broadcast across the planet and to other Tyrexian vessels scattered throughout the system. Within hours, stories of their arrival spread like wildfire. Priests and scholars, long keepers of the prophecy, hailed the moment as the fulfillment of ancient destiny. Mia and Liam were named the chosen youth, sent by the cosmos to guide the Tyrexians into a new age. As the children remained unaware of the unfolding drama, the Tyrexians reorganized their fleet, not for battle but for celebration. Their once hostile demeanor shifted to reverence, and they began transmitting messages of welcome. The children's unassuming ship was escorted to orbit with great ceremony. Unwittingly, Mia and Liam had just altered the course of a civilization, setting in motion a chain of events that would ripple across the galaxy. As the ship settled into orbit above the Tyrexian homeworld, its AI, still operating under its emergency protocols, activated a series of beacons. These beacons transmitted data packets across a wide swath of the galaxy, encoded in mathematical patterns that any advanced civilization could decipher. The messages, containing curated snippets of Earth's languages, cultural markers, and symbolic gestures, were intended as a broad signal of peace. However, their timing and content would be interpreted far beyond the AI's original intent. The Tyrexians, already convinced of the children's divine nature, interpreted the signals as sacred proclamations. Tyrexian scholars worked tirelessly to decode the transmissions, perceiving them as intricate parables or instructions meant to guide their future. The simplicity of the encoded messages, a combination of basic equations, images of Earth, and universal symbols of unity, only deepened their reverence. To them, the purity of the children's words reflected cosmic wisdom that transcended their understanding. But the signals didn't stop with the Tyrexians. The beacons, designed to operate at maximum range, reached neighboring star systems populated by other advanced species. Among these was the Zintari Collective, a highly analytical race known for their obsession with decoding patterns. The Zintari perceived the signals as a challenge, a test of intelligence issued by beings of unimaginable power. They quickly realized that the transmissions originated from the ship, now orbiting Tyrexian space, and began focusing their resources on deciphering its origins. The signals also drew the attention of the Cervix Dominion, a vast empire of traders and diplomats. Unlike the Zintari, the Cervix were less concerned with the messages themselves and more intrigued by their implications. A new player had emerged in the Galactic sphere, one that had captured the Tyrexians' attention, a feat no race had achieved in centuries. To the Cervix, this was an opportunity to forge alliances or, failing that, gather intelligence on the mysterious newcomers. Meanwhile, aboard the children's ship, the AI continued to maintain a steady environment, ensuring Mia and Liam's basic needs were met. It was unaware that its routine actions, adjusting environmental controls, releasing nutrient packs, and calibrating internal systems were being scrutinized by alien observers. The Tyrexians, monitoring the ship's activities from afar, saw these mundane processes as further evidence of divine intervention. They began documenting every move, crafting elaborate narratives to explain the rituals performed by the children. As the transmissions propagated, so did the legends surrounding Mia and Liam. Across the galaxy, factions speculated on the purpose of their arrival. Some saw it as a harbinger of peace, while others viewed it as the prelude to a larger agenda. Rumors spread that humanity, long regarded as a relatively minor species, had sent emissaries capable of uniting even the most fractured civilizations. For Mia and Liam, the significance of their actions remained a mystery. They spent their days exploring the ship's interior, marveling at its strange mechanisms and unknowingly triggering responses that would further fuel the growing myth. Outside their vessel, however, the galaxy was changing. Alliances shifted, tensions eased, and curiosity replaced hostility, all because of two young humans who had no idea they were being watched by billions. Not all species, however, were as easily swayed by the mystique of the children's arrival. The Krallian Syndicate, a powerful and ruthless empire known for its unyielding pragmatism, was deeply skeptical of myths and legends. The Krallians prided themselves on their rationality and their ability to see through illusions. They had no use for prophecies or divine signs, believing that only strength and logic could shape the future. To them, the children's sudden appearance in Tyrexian space was nothing more than an elaborate ploy, perhaps a psychological weapon, or an unknown technology meant to disrupt their empire. The Krallians, observing the Tyrexians' reverence, grew wary of the growing influence of the chosen youth. Their leaders saw this as a potential power vacuum, one that could undermine their position in the galaxy. If the Tyrexians truly believed the children were divine, then their loyalty might shift away from established powers like the Krallian Syndicate. To the Syndicate, this posed a direct threat to their dominance. In an attempt to reveal the truth, the Krallian High Command dispatched a fleet to intercept the ship. They believed they could expose the children as nothing more than ordinary humans, perhaps even tricking the Tyrexians into seeing their chosen ones for what they truly were. The fleet, led by the cunning Krallian General Vrex, approached the children's ship under the guise of a diplomatic mission. Their plan was simple: board the ship, confront the children, and prove to the Tyrexians that their reverence was nothing more than misguided superstition. The children's ship detected the Krallian fleet's approach, and, as expected, the AI initiated defensive protocols. The Krallians had expected this. After all, they were well versed in the tactics of most spacefaring species. What they hadn't anticipated, however, was the ship's ability to deploy its advanced defense systems. With an elegance and precision that seemed beyond any human technology, the ship released a burst of blinding energy that disrupted the Krallian vessel's targeting systems. The Krallian ships veered off course as their systems temporarily failed, their weaponry firing uselessly into the void. Vrex, furious and humiliated, immediately ordered a counterattack. But the ship was already gone, its cloaking mechanisms engaging to mask its position. In an instant, the Krallians found themselves outmatched, their most sophisticated weapon rendered ineffective. The ship's AI, interpreting the conflict as a need for protection, continued to outmaneuver the Krallian forces with a series of rapid course changes, always staying one step ahead. The Krallians attempted to track the ship's movements, but they were unable to catch it. The Krallians, who had once been so confident in their superiority, were now forced to reassess the situation. Their highly advanced technology had been overwhelmed by a simple human vessel. The Tyrexians, watching from their warships in the distance, took this as a sign that the children's powers were indeed divine. The Krallians, realizing they had been bested by mere children, could do nothing but retreat. This event, while a failure for the Krallians, only served to strengthen the legend of Mia and Liam. To the Tyrexians and the other races observing, the children's ability to defend themselves without even knowing how or why was further proof of their celestial origins. The Krallian defeat was spun into a tale of divine protection, with Mia and Liam becoming not only symbols of peace but also of strength. Their influence spread further, transcending the Tyrexian homeworld and reaching the farthest corners of the galaxy, where they were now regarded as beings of immense power, capable of uniting entire empires under their banner. As the children's ship continued its journey through the stars, the reality of their newfound influence began to weigh on the galaxy. Entire civilizations, each with its own rich history, were now looking to Mia and Liam as symbols of something far greater than they could comprehend. The Tyrexians, who had once been a race known for their brutal conquests and dominance, now sought to redefine themselves in light of the children's arrival. Their once bloody thirst for power was replaced with a zealous devotion to what they believed was the divinely chosen destiny of humanity's young emissaries. What followed was a curious mix of peace and growing tension. On one hand, the children's presence on the galactic stage led to unprecedented diplomatic agreements and alliances. Warlike factions, some of which had been in conflict for centuries, laid down their arms to honor the prophecy of the chosen youth. With the Tyrexians as their spiritual guides, many races began to see the promise of a peaceful, unified future. Leaders sought out these new symbols of hope, hoping to secure favorable treaties or access to knowledge they believed the children would impart. The Saravix Dominion, ever the opportunists, offered trade deals, while the Zintari collective delved deeper into the messages encoded within the children's signals, believing that deciphering them would grant them access to hidden truths. But the children, blissfully unaware of their growing status, remained focused on their simple lives aboard the ship. They explored every corner of the vessel, poking and prodding at strange devices, their youthful enthusiasm never waning. The AI, while dedicated to maintaining their safety and well-being, had not been programmed to address the diplomatic intricacies unfolding outside. As the days passed, Mia and Liam were protected from the weight of their influence, their reality confined to the confines of their spacecraft. Yet their every action was interpreted as profound, each meal shared, each laugh between them, seen as a moment of great significance by the thousands of eyes watching from afar. While many hailed the children's arrival as a new dawn, others saw it as an opportunity to manipulate the power that now flowed in their wake. Factions, each with their own agendas, began to vie for the children's favor, hoping to shape the future in their image. Some believed that the children would usher in an era of enlightenment, while others saw them as tools to advance their own agendas. The Krallian Syndicate, having been humiliated in their earlier confrontation, quietly began to assess how they might exploit the situation, focusing on ways to use the Tyrexians' faith in the children to further their own power. Meanwhile, the Saravix Dominion, growing increasingly eager to align with this new force, offered the children advanced technologies and resources, believing that these gifts would bind them to the Saravix cause. Back on Earth, the United Earth Council found itself under immense pressure. The world watched in awe as the children's reputation spread across the galaxy. Leaders from all corners of the Earth, once fractured by political differences, now rallied around the notion that humanity had a larger role to play in the cosmos. But they also faced difficult choices. The children, in their innocence, had become symbols of power, and there was a growing concern that their legacy might spiral beyond human control. As the weeks stretched on, the ship continued its journey, moving from system to system, each new world greeted by crowds of alien beings who awaited the children's arrival. Unknowingly, Mia and Liam were being shaped into figures of immense influence, figures that were beyond the comprehension of anyone, even those who had once thought they understood the stars. The children were no longer just Earth's emissaries, they were now the living embodiment of the galaxy's hopes, its fears, and its ever-present desire for something greater. The legend was no longer theirs alone, and the galaxy had begun to chart its course under the shadow of two unsuspecting children who had no idea that they had become the fulcrum upon which the future would turn. As Mia and Liam's legend grew, so did the complexities of the galactic forces surrounding them. Though the children remained blissfully unaware of the political machinations at play, the ripple effects of their existence began to shape the future of the galaxy in ways no one could predict. Each day aboard the ship became a blur of exploration, routine, and quiet wonder. Yet, every action they took was magnified 1,000-fold by the millions of beings who watched from afar, their eyes fixed upon the children like an unblinking gaze. The Tyrexians, now deeply entrenched in their belief that the children were divine, initiated the children's trial, a grand ceremony that was meant to affirm their place as the galaxy's new spiritual leaders. The event would be broadcast across thousands of star systems, and beings of every race would witness it. It was the culmination of years of prophecy and the beginning of a new era. Tyrexian leaders, priests, and scholars worked day and night to prepare for the event, but they had one significant problem. The children were still unaware of their status. As the trial approached, representatives from every major faction in the galaxy arrived in Tyrexian space. Some came in peace, eager to witness the dawn of a new age. Others, more sinister, arrived with ulterior motives, hoping to manipulate the trial to their advantage. The Saravix Dominion, ever calculating, saw the trial as a golden opportunity to solidify their place among the new galactic order, offering technologies and resources they believed win the children's favor. The Zintari collective, intrigued by the implications of the children's seemingly boundless intellect, sought to study them, believing their arrival was a sign of a great unknown intelligence. Meanwhile, the Krallian Syndicate, stung by their earlier defeat, began plotting in secret, seeking a way to reclaim their lost honor. But even among this swirling mass of political and military activity, the children were untouched by the chaos. Mia and Liam, isolated within the ship, remained as they always had, curious, exploring their world, unaware that their every action was being analyzed, interpreted, and misinterpreted by countless eyes. Their ship, once a simple vessel for exploration, now served as the epicenter of galactic diplomacy, a place of power and intrigue where even the smallest gesture had consequences. The moment of the trial arrived. The galaxy held its breath as the Tyrexian fleet escorted the children's ship to the Grand Arena, a colossal structure built on the surface of a Tyrexian moon. It was here that the chosen youth would be presented to the galaxy, and the future would be decided. The children's ship landed in the center of the arena, where a sea of alien faces waited in rapt attention. They stood there, wide-eyed and innocent, their curiosity about the situation growing but still largely unanswered. The moment they stepped out of the ship, the crowd erupted in cheers, their voices reverberating through the air. To Mia and Liam, it was nothing more than a grand spectacle, a strange event that they didn't fully understand. They stood, hand in hand, and looked around at the alien world before them. To the Tyrexians, the children were not simply humans, they were living symbols of the galaxy's collective future. To the Zintari, they were the key to unlocking a cosmic puzzle, and to the Cerevics, they were the final piece in the puzzle of galactic dominance. But amidst the reverence, something else stirred. The Krallian Syndicate had planted its spies within the arena, carefully watching for any signs of weakness. The Syndicate had not given up on their ambition to control the children's influence. Their agents had been working quietly to introduce doubt into the proceedings, hoping to discredit the children and their purported divinity. As the trial unfolded, the tension between the factions began to grow. Even the Tyrexians, so certain in their beliefs, began to notice the cracks forming in the unity they had sought to create. Mia and Liam, still blissfully unaware of the storm gathering around them, stood at the center of it all, the weight of the galaxy's future hanging silently over their heads. Each step they took, each innocent movement, seemed to trigger a chain reaction. What had started as a simple journey of curiosity had spiraled into a contest for control of the galaxy itself. The children were no longer mere symbols. They had become the key to a larger game they didn't yet understand, but one that would soon demand a reckoning. As the trial continued, Mia and Liam's presence on the Tyrexian moon became the focal point of galactic history. The eyes of the universe were fixed upon them, each faction hoping to shape the outcome to its benefit. But the children, ever innocent and unaware, had no idea that their every move carried such weight. They stood at the center of a monumental struggle, caught in the crossfire of political intrigue, military ambitions, and centuries-old prophecies. Their lives, once ordinary, had been transformed into something far greater than they could comprehend. The Tyrexians, still fervently believing that Mia and Liam were divinely chosen, began to present them with symbols of power, ornate weapons, ancient relics, and unbroken chains of command. They sought to honor them as spiritual leaders, placing the children at the head of a new galactic order. The children were adorned with garlands of shimmering crystals, each one believed to hold the power of ancient gods. They were hailed as the harbingers of peace and prosperity, the bearers of a new age. But while the Tyrexians celebrated their newfound icons, the other factions were growing increasingly uneasy. The Cerevics Dominion, with their penchant for calculating diplomacy, saw the Tyrexians' devotion as an opportunity to secure their own influence. They offered technologies, resources, and trade agreements to the children, presenting them with the gifts of innovation and prosperity. In their minds, aligning with the chosen youth was the key to establishing a new balance of power, one where the Cerevics would rise to the forefront of galactic politics. The Zintari Collective, on the other hand, approached the situation with an entirely different perspective. The children's signals, their patterns, and their existence seemed to defy all logic, a mystery they could not fully comprehend. To the Zintari, the arrival of Mia and Liam was a challenge to their understanding of the universe. They began conducting covert studies of the children, attempting to unlock the true nature of their powers, convinced that the children were not just symbols but a doorway to an entirely new form of intelligence. But among these political players, the Krallian Syndicate remained the most dangerous. Having failed to manipulate the situation openly, they resorted to more insidious tactics. Krallian agents within the arena began to plant seeds of doubt, subtly suggesting that the children were not divine at all, but rather pawns in a much larger game. They whispered that the Tyrexians' obsession with Mia and Liam was a form of weakness, one that could be exploited. To the Syndicate, it was only a matter of time before the Tyrexians' fragile faith shattered, and the Syndicate would be there to pick up the pieces. As tensions between the factions escalated, a ripple of discontent began to spread through the crowd. A small but vocal group, primarily from the Zentarian Cervix, began to question the children's legitimacy. They argued that the Tyrexians had allowed their beliefs to cloud their judgment, that no child, no matter how pure or innocent, could be the harbingers of universal peace. There were whispers of betrayal, of manipulation. The factions had all placed their bets, but now uncertainty threatened to unravel their carefully laid plans. In the midst of this growing chaos, something unexpected occurred. The ship's AI, still monitoring the situation and unaware of the political implications, activated a sequence that had been dormant for weeks. A hidden compartment within the ship opened, releasing a strange energy wave that rippled through the arena. The crowd fell silent as the energy washed over them, a calming force that seemed to quiet the rising tensions. For a brief moment, all factions, regardless of their agendas, found themselves united in a shared sense of peace, as if the children themselves had somehow triggered a universal reset. Mia and Liam stood in the center, oblivious to the storm that had just been quelled. To them, the energy felt like a simple moment of wonder, a flicker of light that had briefly filled the arena. But to the watching factions, it was something far more profound. The children, unintentionally, had just revealed the true power they held, a power that was beyond any political struggle or military might. Their innocence, their purity, had calmed the galaxy's most powerful forces, if only for a moment. The political games, the manipulation, and the hidden agendas could no longer be ignored. The galaxy now knew one undeniable truth: the children were something far greater than anyone had realized. The legend of Mia and Liam had become a reality, and whether the galaxy was ready for it or not, the balance of power had shifted. Now, the real question was no longer who controlled the children, but how the galaxy would adjust to the unpredictable force they had unleashed. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Sci-Fi Horizons stories for more thrilling tales of science fiction and adventure.